Hello, fellow captains, and welcome back to Microsoft Flight Simulator. We are continuing our adventures with the bush trips. We are starting a new one today, the California Dreams. We finished up our Northeast Megalopolis last time over on the East Coast, and I figured it would be a good kind of sandwich to do the West Coast on the next one. We're going to start, as you can see, I've already completed this one on my own time, but we're going to go ahead and start it over here. This trip will be going from Catalina Island over to the Sea Ranch. We'll see a nice big map of that pop up as we go. Today's leg will be from Catalina, the starting point, over to PALMDALE, US Air Force, Plant 42, USAF? I think that's what that means. Not really sure. Anyways, let's hop into the flight here. You'll get a nice big overview of what the total route is going to look like. Heading over here from Catalina on the right to the Sea Ranch on the left. We're going to be flying in the Cessna Grand Caravan today, which is hopefully going to be a much better experience than the Northeast Megalopolis was one, because we have a high-wing aircraft that still gets a decent amount of speed. I'm a big fan of the Cessna Grand Caravan. It is one of my favorite aircraft to fly. Let me get my controls turned down. And fortunately for this first flight, we're not going to have the issue that we had in the last one where the GPS is not set up the way it's supposed to be. So let's take a quick second to double check all of our flight controls here. So that actually works. Okay, that actually works. Throttle actually works. I'm trying to get to trim controls, but I don't remember where I find that. Is there a pitch trim indicator? I just want to make sure I have the... It's the first time I've flown this in a while, so I don't remember where all of the controls are. There may not be an indicator, so that's fine. All right, so we have our GPS set up. Let's make sure our CDI is set up for GPS so that we don't have any issues there. Let's make sure that our altitude is set before we take off. Oh, this is actually different. Where is my altitude selector? We have our heading selector. Don't remember how to... So the GPS on this one is slightly different from what we had before. I don't remember how to select altitude. Oh, altitude select. Okay, here we go. So we'll start out at 1500 just to... Oh. What altitude are we at right now? We are currently at 1600 feet. So I'm going to say we're going to start out at what, 2500? We'll do 3,500 for now, and if it's too high, it's too high. That's fine. So we'll get that set up, and then I got to figure out... So I want my vertical speed to be... Okay, there we go. Sorry, guys, I got to alert. This is different from the previous control scheme that I have, so I just got to remember how to use it. And then we want to be in nav mode, which is... Nav mode there. So ideally, so that way when we turn the autopilot on, we'll be all set. And then where is the autopilot? Okay, so that's the autopilot button there. All right, let's get ourselves up into the air and on our way. Once we get up in the air and established, and I have the cruise control, I have the autopilot turned on and ready to go, then I will read off the first destination waypoint that we're looking at here. Fortunately, there's no landing gear or anything I have to worry about, so get this all set up. Get the pitch trim set up. Pull that throttle back enough to where it stops flashing at me, and we'll get the autopilot turned on. Excellent. I love it when things just work. We had so many issues in the last flight with the GPS system just not cooperating very well. All right, so now that we're on track for that, after lifting into the sky from Catalina Airport, cross the Gulf of Santa Catalina, leaving Santa Catalina Island, the easternmost of the mountainous Channel Islands archipelago. Long Point is a promontory just to the west of the port cities of San Pedro and Long Beach. So I'm really glad that we're in this plane, because now we'll actually be able to kind of like look around at different things. Yeah, I mean, I guess we're only going to get so much of a view, but this is still worlds better than the low-wing aircraft that we had, because it was impossible to see anything. Only thing about using the mouse look mode here is that it doesn't reset back to its original heading there, or its original facing. So ideally that'll be okay, but yeah. So if you are just joining us for this, if you're just joining us for these flights that we're doing now, what happens is I will fly to all of the various waypoints for the bush trip, and then as we go, I will kind of babble about things as we travel through the flights. I generally try to keep these flights less than 30 minutes, and it looks like this particular flight is going to be right there at the edge of it, since we took, we had to take 5 minutes to take off and all of that. So I may cut, I do generally cut as we go across long bodies of water like this. I think that's what I'm going to do now. Once we get back on land and there's more interesting things to look at, probably won't do that. But for this, because there's not much to look at right here, and it saves my voice a little bit, we're going to go ahead and cut until we get closer to the next waypoint. So sit back, relax. At least for me, you guys will be instantly at the next place. See you guys in just a second. Okay, I made the mistake of pulling my mixture back too far, so we are... Okay, there it goes, it's back. Had to restart the engine. Anyways, next up is Torrance. Fly inland towards downtown Los Angeles and its tall skyscrapers passing over Torrance. So that's out ahead of us over there. Check out the map over here. So this little area up here, a few miles away, about 5 miles. So it's going to be this area right up in there, right up in here. Take a look out the left side and right side of the cockpit here. Welcome to Los Angeles. I really don't like being here, I have to say. I have said it before and I'll say it again. I hate California. I love San Diego. I hate California. I'll just leave it at that. I'm really not a fan of California in general. Just it's so crowded, and the way everything is just not the way I like it to be. I don't really like cities in general, but whatever. So, I had a nice little break there, and I spent so much time messing around with my fuel settings, trying to see, because I was trying to sit here and pull the fuel mixture back as far as I could, but as soon as it started going down, the engine cut off. So there's no happy medium where I can start, messing with fuel flow. Yeah. I'm looking at that fuel flow parts or something, pph, I'm guessing that's my fuel flow, and if I go too far down, it immediately just stops. So I don't know. I don't know if there's no realistic fuel simulation in this. I'm just going to leave everything maxed out and it should be fine. We're just trying to get get through the fast. Why can't I not speak right now? We're trying to get through this as quickly as possible because obviously, all of this is pretty, but at the same time, we don't want to be here for hours and hours trying to get this done. So, we're already at our next point of interest. We are heading towards downtown Los Angeles. Continue towards the skyscrapers and weaves of highways of downtown Los Angeles. Set against a backdrop of the San Gabriel Mountains, downtown Los Angeles comprises some of California's greatest architectural feats, including Wilshire Grand Center, the tallest building on the West Coast, and the U.S. Bank Tower. So that'll be all of this over here as we approach it. Be some nice big buildings that we can look at. I'll try to be a little bit more cognizant of looking around in this one because we can actually see outside of the cockpit a little bit better than we could with the other plane. We have nice big views though, so even if I forget, at the very least, I'll use my keyboard. I have some keyboard bindings that will allow me to look a little bit more left and right. Can I look down? That's weird. Just playing around with the keyboard views here. So I feel like my front left and my front right views are going to be the best alternatives to just straightforward. I would like it if this view was a little bit more down. I could set a custom camera, but I really don't want to mess around with that too much when we're not going to have single planes that we're using all the time. So we still have, what, 10 miles? 10 miles to go, and we're doing 170. So yeah, just like the last flight, it's basically going to be, we're basically covering, what is it? A mile every 20 seconds. So every 3 miles is about a minute of flight time-ish. It's actually a little bit more than that. But it's a good rule of thumb. So when we were at 9 miles, we had about 3 minutes of flight before we actually hit the thing over there. At least that's how the math in my head works out. So at this point, we're approaching the 6 mile mark. That's how that works, right? 6 times, so at 180 would be covering 3 miles every minute. Because you divide that by 3 for 60 miles an hour. So 60 miles an hour is a mile a minute. And then 180 is 3 times that, so we should be covering 3 miles every minute-ish. I mean, I know we're going slower than that, but it's a good, we can round it. It's not that, we don't have to be super precise about it. So right now, we should have about 2 minutes before we actually hit the waypoint. Of course, this will tell us time to the next, yeah, right around 2 minutes. So that's a good rule of thumb to use. 3 miles for every, or for every 3 miles, we have a minute of travel time. That's the rule we can use. But I mean, I guess we have the estimated time en route over there on the right. It's a little bit easier to see in this aircraft because I feel like we're just a little bit closer as far as our point of view goes to the instruments. So it's a little bit easier to see more of that information that because I always ended up having to go down here to see things in the other plane. So it's kind of nice to be a little bit more up on the instrument panel, especially since we can kind of pop up like this and get a little bit better view of what's happening in front of us. I feel like that's a really good view compared to what we had in the Diamond. So here we are in downtown Los Angeles. Super congested area. Oh, there's a football stadium over there. That's cool. Wait, I'm waiting for the stanchion to get out of the way so we can actually get a better view of that. Where is it? There it is. Nice, football stadium. I'm not sure which one. But mostly it's just an endless sea of buildings over here. So look at that. Nice big downtown skyscraper area. Looks like a convention center. This little oval shape, this little almond-shaped building over here. That looks kind of like it would be a convention center of some kind. All right, so I think we're passing over the next waypoint here. Yep, 5 seconds. So the next area that we're heading towards is Griffith Park. One of California's most notable destinations is Griffith Park, named after industrialist Griffith J. Griffith. Are you serious? who donated the land to the city of Los Angeles in 1896. The park is home to the famous Hollywood sign, the Griffith Observatory, the Los Angeles Zoo, and at one time, the Griffith Park Aerodrome. Interesting. So I don't know if they modeled the Hollywood sign. I don't remember seeing it the last time I came through here, but it would be on the mountain here somewhere. Excuse me. This is obviously the Griffith Observatory over there, but I have no idea where the Hollywood sign would be, assuming they even modeled it over here. I have to imagine that they would have put it in our flight path over here, because that's kind of like... Oh, I guess that's not Griffith Observatory. That's actually on the other side of the mountain over there, so I'm not sure. It's got to be up here towards the top somewhere. Or is it? I can't tell. Is that on the mountain range here, or is it on the other side, or down on the flat plain there? All right. So I generally don't like to hop out of the cockpit for these things, but because I want to make sure we have a chance at finding that sign, we'll go ahead and do that, so that we can hopefully find the Hollywood sign. I don't know where it is, and you know, there's a good chance that they just didn't render it because it's not a very big thing. Well, hopefully you guys see it, and oh, here's the Griffith Observatory. Hopefully you guys see it, and I just don't, unless it's on the other side of the mountain or something. But I don't see any big letters anywhere. So if you guys saw it, great. If you didn't, well, then you're like me, and this is the second time I've done this trip, and I never saw the Hollywood sign last time either. Unless it's on this, maybe it's on this side of the mountain. I don't know. I would think that would be on the actual Los Angeles side, but I don't really know where Hollywood is anyway. I've seen it in real life. I've driven past it, but I don't know. I just don't remember. Nice little baseball field over here. So yeah, I don't see a Hollywood sign. I would imagine it would be really easy to spot if they had to actually put it in. But it's entirely possible that I just missed it. I gave you guys every chance to find it, so hopefully some of you found it. Let me know in the comments if you did, because I didn't see it. But we need to get back into the cockpit because we have other places to visit. Next up is Mount Wilson, 5,710 foot high. Mount Wilson, part of the San. Actually, before I read that, let me get my altitude going up because we need to account for this. So I need to get up to 6,500 feet so that we can make sure that we're going to clear that. Vertical speed. Do like 1,200 feet per minute. I just want to make sure we have plenty of time to climb over this before we get to it. Okay. Mount Wilson, part of the San Gabriel Mountains, is notable for the Mount Wilson Observatory, which contains some of the most historically significant telescopes in the world of astronomy, dating back to the early 1900s. The observatory continues to serve science with a number of instruments in use to this day. Very cool. So yeah, I wanted to make sure we had plenty of time to get the climb done before we get over to the mountains, because if you can get up there before you get there, you don't have to deal with too much of the turbulence and stuff that comes from flying near mountains. It's not a lot of fun. Not a lot of fun to be flying close to mountain walls and then the air is just kind of kicking you around. So if we can get that altitude increase before we even get over to the mountains, I would prefer it. So we are already 17 minutes into this flight, and it's telling me that we have, what, 7 minutes, and then, well, and it's 7 minutes after this, so 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 minutes of flight to get to this last point of view, this last waypoint here, and then realistically another minute to line up with whatever this airport is. So I think we're okay. Another 11 minutes, yeah, I think we'll be fine. We'll be landing a little bit before the 30-minute mark, so that's not terrible. We'll get up over these and check out this observatory that we'll be flying up towards. And like I said, I really like that the nose of this aircraft and everything is set up in a way that allows us to kind of see what's down below us off to the sides and everything. The other aircraft had a stanchion like right here, which basically was right in your face the entire time, and it sucked. I hated it. So I'm very happy to be back in a high wing, good visibility to the ground aircraft compared to what we had before, because that was really annoying and frustrating. Got about another 500 feet to go. Should allow us to clear. It said it was 5710, I think, so we won't be quite 1,000 over the ground, but close enough. I don't want to climb too high because we have to bring that altitude back down shortly after we get through these mountains here. And being lower to the ground will make it so we can see this observatory that's coming up pretty soon. Let's get ourselves put up here so we can actually watch the buildings as they approach. Well, actually, let's look off to the... Yeah, we're starting to get to the point where it's mostly going to be scenery, which is, that's actually my preferred thing. One of the reasons I want to, get in my RV and go travel the country is not so I can go visit all the landmarks and stuff. I want to go see nature. I want to go see all the cool nature stuff that's out there. I don't like being around lots of people, so I want to go find places where nobody goes. That's my preference. One of the big reasons I want to sail around the world isn't to go visit, exotic cities and stuff like that. I want to go find abandoned islands and stuff and just go hang out. Get away from all the people. Alright, so it looks like we've gotten over here to the observatory, and we're turning off to the left. Let's read off the next one. Blackbird Air Park. Continue north, continue north over the crest of the San Gabriel Mountains into the Antelope Valley, sighting Palmdale in the distance. Just to the north of downtown Palmdale lies Blackbird Air Park, an annex of the Air Force Flight Test Museum, which has on display a Lockheed F-117 Nighthawk, a Lockheed U-2 Dragon Lady, a Lockheed 12, the progenitor to the SR-71, and a Lockheed SR-71 Blackbird, one of the coolest aircraft ever made. Alright, so I injected that last part, as you can see. I'm not really sure. Yeah, it looks like they're taking us over into an area where this altitude's a little bit higher. I'm not sure what this altitude is going to be, but we're going to add another 1,000 feet on here just to be safe. I think the optimal cruise for this aircraft is 1,200 feet a minute. I think it is. So yeah, let's add some altitude here just in case. I don't want to have to at the last minute yank back on the yoke to bring the height back up. So we'll do it now in a nice controlled manner. Got about 7 minutes until we reach our next waypoint. It's getting slowed down because we're having to climb, which is, you know, obviously slowing our airspeed or our speed over the ground. Not exactly ideal, but it is what it is. I probably could have manually steered around the mountain, but I like autopilot. I'm a big fan. Big fan of autopilot. And this right here is the exact argument I have against the developers of games like Elite Dangerous, where they want you to fly everything manually. It's like, well, you know, this airplane right here basically flies itself all the way down to the ground, and you just have to take over at the last second. So how about you guys get on board and make it so that our, you know, super advanced futuristic spacecraft can do that? I've never understood the argument of it's a game, you need to play it. Well, okay, yeah, but you can take some of the mundane parts out of it so that I don't have to sit here and manually control everything all the time. But anyway, that's an argument for a different game. It's just I'm highlighting it here because I have autopilot and it flies the plane for me, and I don't have to sit here and constantly be monitoring everything and, you know, messing with it. Obviously, if I were in real life flying this and I had to worry about, you know, equipment problems and things like that, and if there were really other aircraft and all that stuff, I had to worry about that, and you know, I'd have a much more active approach in just monitoring everything. But it's nice to not have to manually control the aircraft, and you can just focus on paying attention to what's outside the cockpit, pay attention to what the gauges are doing, pay attention to what the navigation is doing. You know, have a much more active role in monitoring where you're going and your progress and all that stuff, rather than having to focus on, oh, am I maintaining my altitude, am I heading and all that stuff. I mean, that takes up a significant portion of your attention, and it's nice to be able to offload that to the computer and let that handle it. So the next waypoint is still about 12 miles away. I think it says 13 actually, but yeah, it's about 13 miles away. We still have a few more minutes before we get out there, but we can enjoy the view as we continue on towards our destination here. As much as I would like to make it so that I could time-lapse these videos, for me to do that, I would actually have to put this video into my video editing software, which would basically double the amount of time that it takes for me to, you know, do the video. So basically what I would have to do, what that would end up doing is I would have to record for, if I want to get a 20-minute-ish video and I'm time-lapsing everything, I would have to record for probably like an hour and a half at least to get enough footage for the time-lapsing. And I just don't want to. I don't want to. I don't want to do video editing. I figured out a way to do almost all of my videos in such a way that I don't have to do video editing anymore, and I don't want to change it. I don't want to change it just for this. So we're going to come back down to about, I don't know, 5,500 feet. Just to see how close that gets us to the ground. We'll do 700 down. I know the going down part for this aircraft is much lower than the going up part. Mostly because we don't want to overspeed. So we'll pull back on the throttle a little bit once we start getting up to that 170 area. I'm going to go ahead and drop it down to 3/4 throttle and see what that does. Seems to be sort of stabilizing. I'll split the difference between. I'd like it to stabilize right around in the area that it's in right now. I don't think there's an auto throttle on this, is there? I don't think. I seriously doubt it. You usually only see that on jets if they have it. Yeah, I don't think so. I don't see any kind of auto throttle option in the autopilot panel there. So yeah, not that big of a deal to manually control it, but you know, get a nice view of the mountain ranges here and the big flat plain in the high desert. I don't even know. I don't even know if this is the high desert. I was stationed in 29 Palms for more than 4 years. Was it more than 4 years? It couldn't have been more than 4 years, could it? No, I did. I re-enlisted and then I went back to the School of Music. So yeah, I mean, my first duty station was 29 Palms. I was stationed out there for my entire first enlistment, basically, plus some change. So yeah, it would have had to have been at least close to 4 years. And then, so like that's the high desert. I don't know that this necessarily I think like once you start getting packed up into the higher area over here, it starts really becoming the high desert. But I don't know. I haven't lived out there for, I don't know, almost 20 years now, so not exactly something I'm super worried about. Heavily populated area though. Our future bush trips will be interesting because I think I'm going to do Patagonia next, and that one will be much more rugged and less populated and have a lot less of like buildings and stuff all over the place. So that's going to be pretty nice. I'm sure we have what, 2 miles left? So we have 2 miles left, and then we have an airport to land. Or is this? Oh, okay, so the airport's basically... Oh, this airport right here is what we're looking for. Let me get this autopilot turned off. This is actually our airport right here. Let me get myself configured in my seat so that I can see what I'm doing here. We're gonna have to make a right. We're gonna have to make a right base onto this because I wasn't paying attention, and we need to give ourselves some room. Look back at the airport there. That's our airport. I need to get down in that. I need to get down in the flap speed so I can start slowing down a little bit. There we go. Okay, that's the first notch of flaps. This is the airport we need to land at, right? Or no, it's this one in front of us. Oh, I think that might actually be the airstrip we need to land on. Damn it. All right. Well, at least we're configured for landing. I'll turn out a little bit more. Yeah, the icon on the map appears to be a little bit more in line with... Pretty sure that's the airport we're landing at. I mean, I think it's the same airport, but I don't know if it's going to trigger if I land on that cross runway there. So I'd rather be safe than sorry. Pitched up too much. We do need to be descending here. As always, I get a little flustered when things don't go exactly the way I expected them to, so I'm having to kind of adjust on the fly as we go here. Adjust my pitch trim to kind of keep us coming down. Already got the throttle at idle, so let's get the flaps down. Not necessarily worried too much about a perfect landing. We just need to get on the ground in a safe manner. Do some sliding here to scrub off some altitude. exactly the way you want to do this, but it is what it is. Alright, hopefully the next flight will be a little bit better. Get ourselves in the ground effect here. Hopefully we'll get lined back up with the runway where we're supposed to be. Alright, that was a nice smooth landing, I think. Get ourselves on the ground and stopped, and that's going to go ahead and do it for today's flight. So, hopefully you guys had lots of fun. Be sure to click that like button so the YouTube algorithm knows that you did and sends the video out to more viewers. The more viewers we can get along for the ride, the more fun it's going to be, because you guys can discuss it in the comments and participate and do all that kind of cool stuff. Subscribe to the channel if you are not subscribed already, so that when the next video comes out, it will show up in your feed and you'll be able to watch it as soon as it becomes available. Channel members do get early access to all of my videos, in addition to several other perks, more depending on which tier you choose to select. So be sure to click that join button below your viewer and decide if any of those are right for you. Again, I thank you very much for your time, and I hope to see you for the next one.